Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and we are now on the second version of the halo braid tutorial for this week. So if you missed our first version, please stop what you're doing and jump right over to the first video so you can get all the information that was presented then. Just to reintroduce myself, my name's Alicia. This is co-pilot Baby J, and we are the owners of Rock Me Fabulous, the hair bar and natural hair care. So at the end of this video, jump right on over and check out our website at www.rockmefabulous.com. So without further ado, let's jump right into today's tutorial. Okay guys, let's get started. Just wanted to show you the type of braiding hair that I use. You can use any type of braiding hair that you want. This was just something I had laid around. You may need like 1 or 2 packs just depending on the size of your head, so you probably want to measure that first. I do use the entire pack of that braiding hair, and I do keep it on that rubber band that it comes on. So here I'm going to go ahead and start forming my braid on that one bundle. And later on, you will see me adding hair to the end of that bundle just so I can make sure the braid is going to fit around my mom's head. As you see here, I mentioned that I will be adding hair to the end of that bundle just to extend it a little bit, and that's exactly what I'm doing right here, just adding hair to the end. You may have to do this to yours if one pack doesn't fit around your head, but just wanted to show you how I added that hair in at this point. As we're coming to the end of that braid, as you see, I go back to the top of the braid, and I actually just start to loosen that braid up because I didn't want it as tight of a braid. I actually kind of want it to be a little bit fluffy. You don't have to do this. This was just my preference of what I wanted the braid to look like, but also wanted to show you how to fluff a braid if the braid is too tight for your liking. Now here's the finished look of the braid that I will put to the side into later use. Now that I have finished prepping the braiding hair for the halo braid, I am now going to start prepping my mom's hair. I start by using the edge control to smooth down all of her edges around the perimeter of her head. Once again, if you're all interested in the type of edge control that I use, this is actually an edge control from my own line, and you can jump over to my website at the end of this video at www.rockmefabulous.com. So let's continue. So as you can see, I'm just putting that around her head just to smooth everything out. I do want a design for the front of her head, so I'm putting quite a bit so I can smooth it out. As you can see, I'm taking my rat tail comb now and just making some baby hair moves and swiveling that out. You don't have to do this. It can be straight back or however you want it, but I just wanted something different just so you can see the different styles that you can do with the halo braid. Now that I've completed smoothing down her edges the way I want them to lay, I am now going to take my edge control gel and apply it to the rest of her head so I can smooth the rest of her hair into a low ponytail at the nape of her neck. Once I have everything smoothed down into that low ponytail, I just go back through with a rat tail comb and just make sure I have everything laid down smooth. I do go back over the edges around her perimeter where I had the baby hairs laid out in a design forming, and just go back over that just to make sure it's still looking the way I want it to look in the front, as well as combing any hair flyaways that can be sticking out at this point. Once I've made sure that everything is smoothed down and I'm satisfied with how everything is looking, I do go back to that loose hair and that ponytail and just braid it so I can pin it up and it's out of my way and don't have any loose hair when I start to pin in the halo braid. Now that everything is smoothed down and pinned up, this is how it would look and how you would need your hair to look in the back. Just a little small bun. Make sure there's no loose hairs out because you want your halo braid to look as smooth as possible. Now that we're ready to take the next step in creating the halo braid, I do use a little bit of the Got To Be hairspray just to mold everything down, because later I will be using the wrapping paper around the edges so that I can mold everything down and to make sure everything stays in place. Now ready to mold the edges down. As I mentioned earlier, I'll be using my wrapping paper to do this. This is my preference. You really don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I like the way how it smooths everything down and I don't have any hair sticking out in the front, and it lays pretty nicely, and then it gives you a good sleek finish when you're done with the style. So I just, like I said before, I just use the wrapping paper and then I go through with my blow dryer and just blow dry around it just to dry any of that hairspray and gel that I used before to lay any of those edges down. Now that we have finished molding everything down, we are now ready to move to the next step in the process. As you can see here, I am going to take that bundle that we braided earlier and attach it to that ponytail in the back of our head. This is why I said it's very important that we do not take that rubber band off that bundle, because we do use that rubber band to attach to that ponytail, as you see me doing here. Now that the braiding hair has been attached to the back of the ponytail, we are now ready to start pinning our halo braid around our head. I do take part of the bottom of the halo braid and move it over that little bun that we have, just so it can look continuous as I go around the head, pinning that halo braid around the perimeter of the head. As you can see, I'm starting to secure that halo braid around my mother's head with the hairpins that I showed you a few minutes ago. As I mentioned earlier, I do start pulling some of the halo braid over that bun just to cover it up, and then I will start to secure the rest of the halo braid around the perimeter of her head. As you can see, I do have a little hang piece that you can either tuck under if it's not as long. Mine is a little bit long because I did put extra hair into it. So I'm just going to go ahead and clip that side off and tuck it underneath the other side of the braid just to move it out the way. It makes it easier for me to tuck, but most of the time you can just tuck that around the braid, just depending on how thick you left the ending of the braid. Now that everything is tucked and pinned down, I do go back to the front of the head just to make sure the halo braid is positioned where I want it to be positioned and secured with more hairpins if needed. You can have the halo braid as far back as you want it or up close to the edge as you want it. I didn't want it too close to her edges because I did want to show the design that I had laid out in the front. So I'm just securing that more into place where I want it to lay with the hairpins. Now that everything is secured and positioned where I want it to lay, I do go back through my mother's head and just make sure everything is laid down. I go back over the back of her hair, just make sure all of the loose hairs are tucked in and look secured and neat. And I also just smooth out that design in the front that I laid out. Just make sure it looks like it's continuous in the braid and not sitting on top of the braid. Okay guys, we're pretty much completed with this look. I'm just adding a few finished touches just to make sure everything looks neat and laid down. And as you can see here is the completed look of the halo braid version 2. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any concerns on how to complete this look, please feel free to hit me up on any of my social media pages that I listed below in the bio. See you next week. Bye.